With all of the financial news going around, you may have missed that Berkshire Hathaway cut its position in Apple. Apparently, Berkshire Company sold a portion of its Apple stake by 6% to 887 million shares in the recent quarter. Don't shed a tear for Berkshire or Warren Buffett because Apple is still the largest single investment in Berkshire's portfolio, and that investment is still worth about $120 billion. On the other hand, Berkshire was buying shares of AbbVie, Chevron Corporation, and Merck Company. Since we just talked about AbbVie, and since you know my feelings about oil and commodities, let's talk about Merck Company. But before we go to Merck, let's take a quick look at Apple. And this is the 20-year monthly chart on Apple. Symbol is AAPL. I do not hold any shares of Apple at this time. You can see that previous top here and the current top is right about there. So, frankly, I don't blame Berkshire for selling shares of Apple. I would cut my stake too. Moving on down here into the volume looks okay. Can't really tell much. But the MAC looks like it wants to try to top, but it did that here. Now, is this going to be the final top at this point? Well, we don't really know for sure, but moving on down here to the histogram, boy oh boy, sure looks like things are sliding. On the way down here to the price rate of change, same thing. Into the relative strength, looks like a topping process as well. Relatively weak here at 73.86. Looks the same topping process in the stochastics as well as Williams. So once again, back to the price chart for Apple, I don't blame Berkshire for at least trimming its shares. All right, let's now go to Merck Company. And so we're looking at a 20-year monthly chart on Merck Company, and the symbol is MRK. For disclosure purposes, I do not hold any shares of Merck at this time. One thing that pops out to me, going all the way back here to 2001, moving on down here, nice basing, heading back on up here to this top, and then down. Looks like one huge cup and handle into the volume. Not much there, but you can see in the Mac that the top here, the handle, is moving on down here with the fast line heading down and the slow line. They're still above that zero line, but it looks like it's coming on down here. Perhaps it's going to reset as it did here and here. Now, going back to 2009, that was the low here. 2005 was even lower. But you take a look at this, and you have just a very slight upward trend. Very interesting. Mac histogram shows the same. Price rate of change looks like a lot of sawtoothing here. That often happens when it's trying to bottom and base. So maybe it is going to bottom and base here, as it did in these couple of times here and here. Back in 2009, it went all that way down. I don't think we're going that far down. I think we're going to be doing some more sawtoothing here and setting in a new base. You can see the relative strength looks like it's really trying to set a base there too, not too far from that 50 or midline. So that's good news. A little bit of slip in the most recent measure of the stochastics, but still it's near that midline 50 line. And I think I see a bottoming and basing there. Same thing in Williams. Back up here to the price chart. That is one hell of a cup and handle. Let's go to the weekly chart. Looking at the 3-year weekly chart and Merck Company, what pops out is this basic sideways channel with a top line and bottom line there. So it seems that we get some activity and movement within that channel, up and down, up and down. And right now we're on the downside. So it's actually not too bad of a pick at the bottom here for Berkshire. I wonder if they time their stocks. Now, what you'd want to see is the recovery and the break above that top line here. And given how much time we've gone sideways, that's a pretty good possibility. Very nice move all the way up here before it started going through that channel. But moving on down here into the MAC, it really isn't setting a bottom in yet, but I think it's still preliminary. at least by the histogram, it does look like it's slowing down, but we haven't turned the corner yet into the price rate of change. That does look like it has turned the corner. You can see that in this area here near the zero line. Into the relative strength, we've hit bottom there and we've hit again. So perhaps it is going to be successful on the way up. That's a pretty good sign. Moving down into stochastic, this has gone a little bit further than this previous measure here. So perhaps we have some mixed signals by the oscillators. Into the Williams, came all the way down here. And so that was relatively weak, but we're way into that oversold territory with just a bit of a bounce there. Back up here to the price chart. And given that the price hasn't really retreated all that much, given some of those oscillators that are pretty weak, I think we do certainly have a mixed view from the oscillators, but the price chart looks like it's holding at least somewhere near this line. So maybe we are going to head back up. I think that's the greatest probability, but are we going to break through that 85? Well, only time will tell, but it's Berkshire Hathaway and Warren Buffett, so maybe they know something we don't. I don't know anything of the fundamentals, and you should if you're going to consider Merck Company as an investment. Understand those fundamentals. And for today, that's ChewDog Charts. Thank you.